Yo, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about people who are anti-human and like ultra pro nature. All right, I really did. I hear a lot of people. Dude, I'm not even shitting you. I hear a lot of people talk about this shit. Um, People who think that nature is inherently good. Okay, they think nature's inherently good, humans inherently bad. Okay, so I mean, I'm actually sparked to talk about this because I was arguing with someone on Reddit, and obviously, I'm not saying Reddit is a good source of people's opinions on things, but I know people in real life who have this stance that humans bad, animals good, and probably a lot of you watching it sort of think that. But um, the things I want to talk about are to do with, I mean, anti-natalism is one of them. People who believe that having a kid is inherently immoral, right? Because I've met people like that as well. Um, and people who believe that, like, nature. Okay, so here's what people believe. People think, people have this perspective, like, majority of people will agree that humans have destroyed a lot of nature and we're pretty bad animals, just in general, right? Like, the factory farms are fucked. We kill animals, we fucking slaughter them in the fucking billions, right? We destroy habitats, we do all that shit. That's where this perspective comes from, that humans are bad, okay? But the thing that people don't understand is that that is not how things have to be, okay? Things do not have to be like that. Humans do not have to do those things. And this is why humans are great, okay? I'm gonna tell you why humans are great and why animals are shit. I'm not saying animals are shit, all right? I think that animals should not have to suffer anything like that. But humans, we morally have the ability to not be shit cunts. Okay? We don't have to be shit cunts. All right? And people who are anti-natalist, they believe that the first thing that you have to believe to be anti-natalist, which if you don't know what that means, it just means you think having kids is immoral, is that you cannot raise a kid who is moral, or it's like statistically not going to happen, right? There's people who just think that people are inherently bad. Dude, if you raise a fucking kid, okay, I'll be honest, if you raise a kid and you raise them and they have a good upbringing and you give them good morals, right? They are going to be a benefit to society. Regardless of what the fuck you think. Yeah, you can go on, oh yeah, they're consuming resources. Dude, these people view humans as just like fucking resource munching machines. Oh, they're not gonna do anything. They're just gonna, dude, people have massive influence. Good people are fucking ridiculously important. One of the big problems is there's not enough good people. If you can bring good fucking people into the world, it's going to be beneficial, right? I'm just going to say that. You might not agree. Um, it's not like a lot of people who like, I've literally heard someone talk to me IRL who they think that like you roll a dice, which you kind of do to an extent when you have a kid. You roll a dice, right? But they think that there's just going to be like, they think that people, like, I don't know if they just don't understand the influence of like upbringing and stuff, but they think that like there's just going to be a chance that your kid's going to be a fucking rapist or a murderer or some bullshit like that. You obviously see feminist posts about like, if you go, Reddit is awful. You should not use Reddit. Dude, social media sucks. I mean, you can literally see posts of people on like feminist fucking like extreme feminist talking about like, oh, they don't want to have a man because as a baby because men bad, whatever, implying that you like can't implying that there's like a chance that they're gonna become a rapist or like, dude, your kid is not going to. I don't know why people think that you just roll a fucking dice. Your kid's gonna be a fucking rapist. Even if your kid is mentally fucked, right? Even if your kid is born like genetically, naturally a fucking psychopath. Most people who are like psychopaths or sociopaths, they're not murderers either. You can literally have someone who's like has no empathy and they can still be a good fucking person. All right, just because, and that's if you're a fucking psychopath, doesn't mean you're inherently a bad person. It literally doesn't, right? Like, it's ridiculous. Okay, where was I going with this? Oh, so onto nature. Okay, so My point is, this is gonna be a fucking rant. This is gonna be an absolute ramble of a rant. I didn't write down dot points or anything because fuck it. I want to get good. I want to get good at discussing points to you guys just naturally, so I can just talk because I think about a lot of shit, but I don't tell anyone. I just fucking store it in my brain, and I want to let it out. All right, we need a rant to let shit out. Okay. So, firstly, having kids is not going to be inherently fucking evil on the world. Even from like the main perspective of the pro-nature people, not even the anti-natalists, because the anti-natalists are very easy. Well, they're not easy, but it's very easy to see why their perspective is bad, because generally they just have they're people with shit upbringings, and they believe that existence is existence is pain, right? They believe that people's lives are inherently bad. It's not even just for nature, right? For humans as well. They believe that existing is inherently bad, right? Which I don't think is the case. And the thing is, even if like you believe that is the case right now, my main point is that that doesn't have to be the case, okay? People's lives can be inherently extremely fucking good, okay? And if you have a kid, your kid's life is not going to be inherently bad. Your kid can have a good fucking life, and you can have an influence in that as well. Obviously, parenting is difficult, and parenting is one of those things where I don't think most parents don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? Just off the bat, people don't know what they're doing. It's not like parents, like, I don't know, they don't really take courses in parenting. I mean, there probably is parent courses and shit, but like, most people are just fucking winging it, right? And they're just trying their best. Which, if you're a parent and you're trying your best, your kid is probably going to turn out all right. Unless you're like messed yourself. If you're really messed yourself, you got to sort yourself out, right? You know, if you've got drug addictions or alcohol addiction or anything like that, that should be your priority. If you want to have good kids, that should be your priority, is sorting yourself out so that you're actually a strong individual, right? But the anti-natalism stuff, that's not the main point. The main point I want to talk about is the pro-nature people, right? Oh my god, I'm fucking mind blanking right now. Holy shit. Pro-nature people. I don't understand how you can be anti-natalist, right? Or anti-humans. Dude, okay, here's the point I want to make. Animals' lives in nature. Nature is shit. And when I say it's shit, it's beautiful. But the beauty comes from a human perspective. The point I want to make is that the perspective... Okay, here's the perspective I want to talk about. The perspective that the world is better off without humans. That's the perspective I want to talk about. That's the fucking point. That's what I was thinking of. The world is better. I have heard that a bunch. The world would be better off if humans didn't exist, okay? That is retarded. That is the worst take ever, okay? I'll tell you why it's the worst take ever. Firstly, nature is inherently suffering for most animals. If you, like, if I'm really anti-natalist, I'm anti-animal natalist. I don't think that nature is inherently morally good. Right? People generally say nature's neutral, right? That's generally the take. And the reason that people say it's neutral is because we haven't influenced it. Funnily enough, humans, like nature without humans that we haven't influenced is neutral. I don't even think that's the case. The majority of animals are fucking suffering, dude. Majority of animals, like, bro, if you've seen nature documentaries, you know, the fucking turtles, they lay eggs. The little turtle babies are trying to get to the fucking ocean. They're getting swooped by goddamn seagulls. Like, most of them died as getting eaten by seagulls. Like, it's very similar. Like, nature in itself is very similar to, like, fucking factory farms, dude. The majority of animals just exist to get consumed by something else, realistically. They don't have good lives. They just get fucking consumed. They get put in the fucking, you know, the little chicken babies getting put in the blender. That's pretty much what fucking happens in real life. The little baby animals get blended by nature, essentially. And people just think, like... Dude, this cycle of, like, if you want to talk about the suffering of animals, nature is absolutely fucking animals. And I'm not saying that humans are not fucking animals. Humans are fucking animals awfully, you know? But the thing is that humans, this is the difference. Humans have the potential to not be, you know? 50, 100 years from now, humans could be completely vegan. I think humans will become vegan. I mean, veganism is obviously increasing. There's a lot of propaganda and stuff against veganism. I'm not vegan personally, but I'll probably try to be at some point. I'll try at some points because it is more moral. And I think that by the end of my life, I will try and be vegan, right? The main reason I'm not vegan is because I haven't really got my shit together. So it's pretty difficult for me to These are excuses, obviously. It's not that excuse. But the thing is that you don't have to be fully vegan to be vegan. And this isn't, I'm not telling you you have to be fucking vegan if you're watching this. But maybe you do. It's about, like, veganism is about making choices, right? You don't have to be full vegan. You can just reduce your meat consumption, right? It's not like everyone's just gonna fucking snap their fingers and the whole world's gonna be fucking vegan, right? Unless some crazy scientific breakthrough happens, right? Where we're making artificial pigs, right? Unless that, fact, like the fake meat or something just becomes god tier, it's like better than real meat and that is healthier and all that shit, and then everyone's like, yeah, fuck real meat and all the, unless that happens, but that's not necessarily going to happen, right? So that doesn't. The thing is, that's only going to happen as well if more people are vegan and more people are showing that they don't want animal cruelty, right? That's very important. People need to show that they don't want animal cruelty. But in your own life, you can reduce. It starts by people reducing their meat consumption, and not just meat consumption. The other thing is just animal suffering in general, like clothes, right? Just you can wear it. You can buy a shirt that's made of like, fucking polyester. I don't know what fucking something that isn't. Don't buy something made of wool, whatever, right? I'm getting really off topic. I don't know what I'm talking about veganism. My point is that the idea that humans shouldn't exist, dude, in a large extent, you guys might disagree with this. I don't expect many people to agree with this. I think in a large extent, the minimal animal suffering actually comes from a world where there's a lot less animals in terms of like, you can have animals in nature, and plants as well. Plants are obviously not suffering. I think that, firstly, humans can exist without needing to burden animals as much. I'm not saying that humans will never not burden animals at all. But from this point on, right, humans don't have to they don't need animals for food, right? We can farm. And obviously farming, people argue, oh, farming's, you're doing the same thing as, you have to destroy nature to make farms. But let's say, firstly, majority of farming is done to feed animals, to eat the animals, and we lose a lot of calories. Like, it's extremely inefficient, right? As opposed to us just eating the vegetables and shit, right? The majority of, like, I don't know the exact stats, you can look them up, but I think it's most of the farmed crops go to animals. Like, it's something bizarre. Like, we already have enough farms to feed everyone in the world, I think. You can look this. I don't have the statistics, but I'm pretty sure we have enough food to feed everyone, right? But instead of feeding everyone the fucking crops, we're obviously feeding the animals because, obviously, mostly wealthy countries are going to consume a lot of meat, and there's big money, dude. Big money in farming, right? I don't know if I've really talked about why nature's trash that much, which I really need to hammer this point, right? Nature, ideally, I think as humans, we have power, all right? And power is good, and that's why people don't like humans, because we have so much power. So it's very easy for humans to just destroy nature and shit. And I think that a large reason in history that humans have like destroyed nature, you can't even blame people. A lot of people blame humans for stuff they've done in history, but from the perspective of the people back in the day, right, expanding and fucking cutting trees and all this shit, they got a lot of shit to deal with, right? They're usually dealing with other shit, right? They inherently had harder lives than us, people throughout history. And secondly, is that we had much less understanding of what nature is, and we have much less understanding. You talk about like, you can't blame people, like the amount of coal and shit that like you look at the amount of coal and shit people like humans have burnt, right? And the amount of CO2 people have emitted into the atmosphere and whatever. You can't really blame people in the industrial, like a shit ton of it is from like the Industrial Revolution era or whatever. You can't really blame them because they didn't really fully understand the consequences, right? You can't blame people for mass expansion and destroying nature and shit. Like, the less we know about it, the less they're kind of responsible in a way. And now, obviously, the reason that there's a lot of pro-nature coming out is because there's a big information overhaul, right? Where people are getting a lot more empathy for animals, where obviously hundreds of years ago, like who the fuck would have empathy for animals? Animals scary, unknown. The forest, bad. You go in there, you die, all right? I don't think people inherently, I mean, people would think nature's beautiful, but like, not like today, right? Today, people have a lot more information, you know, and obviously a lot of that comes from like documentaries and shit and like the internet and people kind of becoming more aware that animals are like sentient, I guess. Obviously, there's still a lot unknown about like consciousness, and there's still a lot of debate about, you know, is it immoral to kill a fish, whatever. I'm not talking about, but the people I'm talking about discussing, the super pro nature types, they are they already made that distinction that they are pro nature, right? They believe that these animals' lives have value and moral, and humans shouldn't be destroying their habitats and shit like that. But like, I don't know. I don't know the point I'm trying to bring home right now, boys. I hope I said some stuff that's I'm kind of losing train of thought, honestly. I should gotta eat some food. I gotta eat some food, boys. I hope I'm bringing some points, right? How could you be anti-natalist for humans and not anti-natalist for nature is my first one. If you think humans' lives are inherently suffering, I mean, people, obviously you could say that humans are more intelligent, so they're capable of more suffering or some bullshit like that. Okay, anti-natalist, everyone, we all hate anti-natalists, right? There's people who believe that nature is inherently good by virtue of it being beautiful. So this one is that it's inherently just good or neutral, and we're bad. So humans bad, nature good or neutral, so we're evil, right? And we need to stop. I'm not saying we should destroy habitats. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure in my opinion on these kind of expansions. Because I think personally, I think that nature is inherently not generally that good either. I think ideally, in the ideal world, this is idealistic. Everyone isn't eating meat, right? And animal exploitation, I'll just say animal, it doesn't have to be meat, it can be anything, right? Animal exploitation, we get rid of. And I actually think the environments in nature, we can actually, I think we should. People, like, the idea, this is the thing, people think nature is inherently good by how it is. That's the other thing. People think nature is good by inherently how it is, because it's natural. And they think that, it's like a religious perspective, right? Where people believe that nature, I don't know what it is, dude, that people just like the beauty is the main thing. People are like, oh, nature's beautiful, dude, like it's immoral, but the beauty is relative to humans, right? I don't think, like, there's a huge contradiction where most of the people who are arguing against the anti-human pro-nature perspective are actually atheist. At least in my experience, they're actually non-religious people, and yet they hold this religious standpoint on nature, or that humans shouldn't interfere with nature, that kind of perspective. It makes a lot more sense if you're like, it makes a lot more sense if you're religious. I'm not religious, and if you're religious, right, there's some other talking points I should be discussing, but if you're not religious, like holding nature to this standpoint, or saying humans shouldn't interfere, humans should, dude. We're the only fucking organism ever in you know, assuming there's no fucking aliens and shit who are 10 head. We're the only organism that is literally capable of shaping the world to reduce like the overall moral suffering, or like the overall suffering of like animals and whatever. We're literally the only, like, we could create environments where natural environments where animals don't suffer. We can stop exploiting animals, and we can literally, like, I don't know, I don't know why people like love the fucking tigers and shit, dude. They're just killing everything, dude. I'll be honest. But it's okay because it's natural. We could create environments where animals actually have good lives. If we want there to be natural animals to exist, but we don't even know if that's moral or not, firstly. But my point is, if you're against the suffering of animals, I don't know how you can be pro-nature. That is basically my point. If you're against the suffering of animals, I don't get how you can be pro-nature and anti-human. It doesn't actually, it seems contradictory to me. Does that make sense? It seems contradictory. Because you have to either believe that nature is not suffering for animals, or you have to believe that there's some inherent good about keeping nature as is. And the biggest reason to keep nature as is more because we don't know the moral. The actual reason you should do that, or a good reason, is because we don't know, right? We don't know if it's moral or not. So why should we do something if we don't know that's moral? That stance I could understand, right? If you say, oh, I don't think we should be destroying nature or massively influencing nature because we don't understand if it's moral or not. Even then, we don't really have a choice. Like, humans are doing shit, dude. No matter what happens, humans are doing shit, right? We are. I don't like, dude. I just. I don't like pessimism, boys. All right, I'll be honest. I don't like pessimism. Humans, we can do good. And there's like, this is a 20-minute rant about, I don't know, something about nature, something about humans being bad or something. Humans not being bad. There's so much shit, dude. I literally have so much shit I want to talk about. So if you guys like these videos, give a thumbs up. I'll try to make them shorter, and I'll try to hit the points. I'll write down dot points and smash the points, because if I'm just rambling off the top of my head, I'm gonna say the same shit over and over again, and I'm gonna get lost and confused. But maybe that's good. Maybe I can get better at just expressing my ideas. That's pretty much it, lads. Humans are not bad. All right. If you think humans are inherently bad, you got to rethink some things. All right, lads. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, humans, we have the potential to be really good, and we got to be supportive of each other, and we got to push towards a better future. And in like 100 years, we're gonna be kicking ass. Hopefully, right? If we're not killing each other, humans can be kicking ass. And obviously, humans do a lot of bad shit. I'm not saying humans don't do bad shit, but we're not inherently bad, and you should not be against humans. And if you're gonna have a fucking kid, you can raise a good kid who's gonna be a good influence on the world. And humans just, the amount of influence we have is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. All right, so, and we can use that for good. The power of good is better than the power of evil, lads. And I'm not doing that from a religious fucking standpoint. I'm doing that from I actually believe that. So, yeah, thanks for watching, lads. Love you all.